G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I've got the big GQ behind me, and this episode we're getting stuck into it. Tonight we're going to be getting the roadworthy sorted and then getting it registered. So I've got a list of all the things that need doing so we can get this thing back on the road. As you can see here, I've got a little bit of a tick off list to get through. It actually was a little bit smaller when I started, but the more I looked, the more I've found. So we've got to do brakes pads and rotors. This had pads done in it, which I've seen. It looks like it's got Bendix in it, but they didn't do the rotors at the same time. So we're going to go ahead, take it all out and just put all new fresh stuff in, do the pins and all that, etc. Sway bar links, someone somehow managed to bent the front ones forward. Don't even ask me how they did that. So those are going to be swapped out, and lucky there's a patrol right there that had original factory ones that are sitting on the shelf that I'll be able to chuck in this to get it through the pits. Parkers don't work currently, so we've got to sort out what electrical gremlin's going on there. I'm going to remove the rear seats in it because I want to get it registered as a 5-seater, not a 7-seater. And that way, down the track, if we ever get defected or anything, we don't have any issues with that. Because I will be doing a draw setup and all that, but more on that later. Climate control, so the slider inside is not working properly, so it's not going between the different air vents. So we've got to get that sorted so that you can actually defrost the window. That's a roadworthy requirement. It's got a bit of a startup issue. We're not sure yet what's going on there, but she's a little bit slow starting up, as you'll see right now. Battery's got to be replaced, which I've already done, but yep, that was just on the list. You know what? I can tick that off right now. Actually, that's one less thing to do. So battery's done, and lastly I've got the turbo. The front of the turbo piping hits on the engine mount currently, and they require 10mm minimum clearance. So I've just got to make up some new piping for it, and that way it all clears and should be all sweet. So now we've gone through all the stuff we've got to do, let's go in and get it done. So this whole process took me about 3 to 4 weeks, just between work and waiting for parts. So there's a bit of footage of all the little bits I did at different points in time. So for this build, I'm going to be putting a brand new set of rotors and pads. The rotors needed to be replaced regardless, as they would have been a roadworthy issue. So I thought I might as well do both right now and get it all sorted. And that way I know these brakes are going to be good and reliable for future upcoming trips. So it's just basically removing the wheel, removing all the hub and front bearings and associated parts, ripping off the rotors off the original hubs, and then putting the new rotors on and then replacing the pads as well. Now I am by no means a mechanic, so I'm just doing this and giving it a crack myself, so don't take anything out of this video as exactly how to do it. Anyway, we'll get this hub assembly off, get the new rotors on and put in the new brake pads. So here you can see a comparison between the old rotors and the new ones, and bloody oath, look at the difference. Those new rotors are going to be so much better for this vehicle. Anyway, it's time to get them back on. For the rotors, I've gone with the Protex full drive discs. I'm really keen to test them out. As you can see, they have slots in them to help with brake performance, and that is exactly what I need, especially on the long Vic High Country Trail descents. For now, I'm going to leave the current wheel bearings in and just give them a fresh re-grease. Eventually, I will be replacing them as they are showing slight signs of coating wear. So once I get the roadworthy sorted, I'll be getting back onto them and putting in some new wheel bearings. Now that the new rotors are on, it's time to swap out the pads. These old pads are Bendix, which look like they've only done a couple thousand Ks, so I'm going to keep them as spares. Now I'm going to be running some new Brembo ceramic coated pads. These pads will provide great performance and hopefully minimal brake dust. Once the new pads are in, it's as simple as pulling out the old sliding pins, and we're just going to go ahead and give them a bit of a clean up with the brake cleaner and then some fresh grease, and that way these new pads are going to be sliding nicely so they're not going to wear unevenly, because, well, things aren't cheap, pads weren't cheap, so I want to make sure I get the best longevity out of these pads I possibly can. Then it was just a simple matter of putting it all back together, tightening everything up and make sure there was no loose bolts left, giving the new rotors a quick clean because of my greasy hands that have been on them. I just used the brake cleaner for that, and then it's basically put it all back together, chuck the wheel on it, we'll torque it up, and then we'll go ahead and do the other side. Now I'm not going to show you guys the other side because it's pretty much just rinse and repeat. So now it's time to get stuck into the rears. Now the rears on these are a lot easier, as it's as simple as sliding off the old rotor and putting a new one on, and there's a little screw that holds them in, and away you go. And then it's just a matter of swapping out the old pads and putting in the new ones exactly the same as the old ones were. As you can see here, the caliper piston has been recently replaced. As you can see, it's still basically brand new. So that's a good thing because it means I don't even have to bother doing the sliding pins on this. As you can see, it slides nice and easy. So for now, I'm just going to put the new pads in and we'll run it as is. And you can see that I've just done a few slides back and forth just to make sure. But yeah, that's really good news, and it hopefully means I won't have to replace any pistons in the future as well. So today's job, we're swapping out the front sway bar links because the ones under here, as you can see right there, aren't really, they're not going to pass a roadworthy, put it that way. They've been bent, I'd say it's been hit. You can see it's now hitting on the exhaust. So we're just going to replace the links. Stole some from Dad because he put some heavy duty ones in the patrol, so I've got his originals, which I'm just going to throw in for now, and that will get us through the roadworthy, and then we'll look at upgraded sway bar links down the track. So we'll get into it. Unfortunately my camera didn't work, so I wasn't able to record me swapping out the sway bars, but it was as easy as unbolting the old ones, swinging the sway bar back into the correct position, and then bolting in the other ones. Now bear with me guys, I didn't actually film me fixing the Parkers, it was just a job I did on the side when I had a bit of spare time. But basically what happened was this stalk here, which is what switches your Parkers on and on, I don't know if you can see that there. You'll be able to see those lights turning on and off there now. So there's pins inside this stalk, and essentially the contact between the pin and where the receiver was, which is what creates the circuit for the Parkers, it wasn't quite contacting properly, so the pin wasn't quite reaching it and therefore breaking the contact. Making the contact, so therefore there was no park lights. And when there was no park lights, so you didn't have your front park lights, no tail lights, or no dash lights or any of that. So as you can see now, that all works, although it's hard to see on the camera, sorry, but yeah, you've got lighting there, and I think from memory that actually lights up too sometimes, but yeah, obviously you got dash lights. And if we come around the front here, anyway, so yeah, so we had that all apart, and basically all we did was we sprayed some contact cleaner in it, just cleaned up the pins a little bit, used a little bit of emery paper just to grind off any corrosion and whatnot, and then I actually just slightly bent the pin a little bit just to make sure it was perfectly contacting, and they've been working flawlessly ever since. So if you ever have any issues with them, you can easily pull these apart. This just comes off, and the screws under here, this whole part comes out, and then this stalk is just 2 screws in, and then there's a plug in the back, and then you can pull it out and assess it for yourself. It was a pretty easy job. It was just a little bit fiddly and whatnot, but nice and simple fix, and we've got working Parkers again, which is going to make Mr. Roadworthy Man very happy. So bear with me here guys, I'm doing a little bit of filming just on my phone here. But one of the little issues that we've got, which we've got to get sorted probably before this roadworthy tomorrow, is this slider here for the climate control isn't working properly. Look, I can't even move that now. So that's probably going to be an issue because that means we can't defrost the window. So we're going to pull this dash fascia off, center one, and see what's going on. I think it might be this end of it, the clip may have fallen off or slightly moved and it's caused the cable to get caught. I'm hoping that's what it is. Otherwise, yeah, we'll have a look and see what else it could be. But hopefully it's just that, and it's a nice, easy fix. For anyone wondering, these dashes are actually really easy to pull apart. So you got 1, 2 on either side, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's just a matter of pulling it apart, which I'll show you in a minute. So there's those 4 screws up under the top fascia of the dash there. I've got all 8 screws out of it now. What I've done is I've just put it in low range and put that in the lowest gear. It just gives us a bit more room to pull this dash fascia out. So pull that out of the way. I was wrong. In behind these ashtrays there's another screw right up in there. So I'll get that one out and then we can pull her out. So as you can see, that just slides out like that, like so. And then you can start unplugging things and whatnot. And I can see our problem right here. Look at that. Nice big bend in it. That's insane. Alright, we'll straighten that out and that will solve our problem. What I'll probably do is I'll get a bit of pliers and straighten that up. I'll probably have to replace that eventually, but if I can just get that straightened just to get this to slide and work, hopefully that'll be enough just to get us through that roadie tomorrow. So I'll go get some pliers and I'll be back. Righto, so we're back with an update. I've just used these pointy nose pliers because I couldn't get any pliers at the time. I've straightened up this so it slides a bit better. Unfortunately, I think this cable is just got probably a bit of junk in it and stuff, and it's just grabbing. So I'm going to spray a bit of WD-40 in it to help, but it will need replacing. So what I've done is just the best I can of just straightening that up. I'll put some WD-40 in this side of it and the same as down that end. And I'll do the same on the cog gear, which I'll just show you. So this here, up here, is what basically turns and is what's switching between the different areas of airflow. So like for example, you got your vents down here, your vents up near your windows, or your vents facing you and your passenger. Put some WD-40 spray all through this, which will help loosen it up a bit, but I will need to replace it because unfortunately, 1, this is getting stuck, and 2, it's now bent, so it's kind of fatigued a little bit in the other end of it, so it won't be long and it won't work again. But hopefully it'll be enough to get us through tomorrow. So we'll put all that back together now. This just goes back together the way it came apart pretty much, so we'll just slide her into place. You can see there's tabs there, which is actually what it mounts to up the top. So do those top ones. It's very awkward doing this holding the camera, but I'm trying my best. So just like that, and I'll put some screws in it and away we go. So in terms of the startup issue, there was a multitude of things that it could possibly be, from glow plugs, starter motor, these old not rusty, but corroded battery terminals, which I ended up replacing, as you can see here, with some new ones. That didn't solve anything, but they needed doing anyway. I ended up working out that if I do about 3 or 4 glows when it's cold, it kicks over not too badly. So that was my solution for the Roadworthy for now. I mean, it's not going to affect whether they say yes or no to the Roadworthy certificate. So we just went with that for now, and then this is something that I'm going to need to address later on, and I think it is the glow plugs, but we'll do that in a future video. And lastly, there was just the turbo front pipe clearance, which was just as simple as replacing the pipe off the front of the turbo with a sharper radius, and that got me enough clearance, so that was not an issue at all. I didn't film that, unfortunately, but it was quite a simple, easy task that really didn't need to be shown anyway. So we've got the GQ back from the Roadworthy Centre, and unfortunately it has failed, which is quite sad. But the good news is it's only one thing, and that was the drag boot dust link worn out on the front passenger side. So on the drag link on the front of these, which is for your steering, the boot on that side of the car, just the dust cap of it has split open, which I already knew about anyway, but I sort of forgot about. I have luckily ordered one already online, so we're going to go ahead, throw that in the car, and then we can take it back in tomorrow morning, get the big tick and take it down to big roads and get this thing registered and back on the road. So look, Could be worse, you know, there could be a bit of a list of things that could have gone wrong, but I think all in all, it's pretty good and it's an easy fix. For those curious, a Roadworthy in Victoria, well, for the place I went to anyway, it's about 250 bucks now to get a Roadworthy. So has gone up a bit since the last time I got a vehicle registered and did the roadworthy process and all that. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So anyway, that's a quick insight into the cost and that. So we'll get the tools out and we'll get stuck into it. This here is the steering drag link that we'll be replacing today. Quick update, guys. Got that steering shock off. Had a little bit of trouble with these two ends, so I ended up using Dad's tool we had in the shed here, and it's really nifty. So it's got like a fork in it which slides over in between the bush and that. Keep in mind, obviously it wrecks the rubber, but that's okay, we're replacing it. And you just give it a few love taps with something big like that, and it just takes it straight out. So worked a charm. And so that's now loose. So pull that out, pull that one out, and we'll get the new one in. Okay guys, so next update, we've got the old one out, the new one set up with that on it there, so you can see those, they just U-clamp bolt onto it. Don't mind me, I've cut myself, it's all right. And we've set up the links for that drag link. I haven't tighten these yet just because I want a bit of maneuverability in them just to make it easier to get it in, and then once it's in I can just nip it up when it's up there. The new split pin in and making sure obviously your nut lines up for your hole like that, and then I'll grab some pliers, bend it back around, and that's done. Do the same on the other side. So yeah, we'll put that shock back into the new hole there, like so, and then we can do up these nuts. So the good thing about these nuts being loose is we can rotate this back to where it was and then tighten them up, and we're good to go. Then I might go get a beer. So we're all done now. I've tightened up them, tightened up those. These are all tight, that's tight. Pins are in on both sides, and we just did a little test then, just turning the car on and turning steering wheels both ways, making sure it cleared. I couldn't film that unfortunately because I'm by myself at the moment, so a little bit hard, but that's all right. So everything's all good, feels good. We'll pack up the tools for tonight, got a few tools around, and we'll take it back in tomorrow and see how we go. So guys, we took the car back in today to the Roadworthy Centre, and they did their checks and all that, and they were happy. So this right here is my certificate of roadworthy, which is great news. So the car's all passed and is good. However, bit of unfortunate news. I took the car straight down to Vic Roads afterwards, thinking that I could get the car registered the same day, as that's what I've done in the past with other vehicles. You know, I've got the roadworthy and then I've gone straight down to Vic Roads and then get it all sorted on the spot, and then I'm good to go. However, going in today and finding out now that I need to book an appointment to register a car, which is quite really sucks, to be honest. I was planning to take the car this weekend to the snow. As some of you may know, in Victoria there was a big snow dump this weekend, and so I was really looking forward to taking the GQ out and on its first trip and in the snow, which would have been really cool. So as heartbreaking as that is, I've booked the car in for Tuesday, so it will get done before this video comes out, so you guys will get to see it hopefully on the road. But yeah, it just sucks. You know, you do all the hard work and all that sort of stuff and put all the blood, sweat and tears in that, and yeah, you don't meet your deadline. But it is what it is. I can't change that. At least it's not a long wait for the appointment, so I'll go in Tuesday morning, take the car down, and we'll see some new plates on it. So we'll keep you updated.
One eternity later.
So at 10 AM on Tuesday morning, I got the car officially registered. Woohoo! What an exciting moment. It's been a long journey with a lot of hard work, but we finally got there. And unfortunately, as I said at the start of the video, I wanted to register this car as a 5-seater, but I wasn't able to do that, so it stayed as a registered 7-seater vehicle. It's a bit complicated to explain in this video, but if you do your research online, you'll be able to see why. Anyway, so the first thing to do after work was take it to the car wash, get it washed, and take it for a spin. That's a wrap on our roadworthy ep for the GQ build. Hope you guys enjoyed this little episode to show the reality of getting a roadworthy in Victoria. Don't worry, the GQ will be back and there is still a few tethering issues to sort out, and then we can get stuck into modifications. If you have any questions about the car or this video, please chuck them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks guys for watching and supporting our channel. We'll see you next week for more upcoming content. Cheers.